Malakouti Law here. I'm a dual citizenship attorney, and this video is directed to anybody who has a California conviction and is what I call mobility minded. Mobility minded means anybody who's an American citizen that has any interest, either in the near term or in the future, of picking up a second citizenship, a residency in a foreign country, or living abroad. So if that's you, if you have a California conviction and you're mobility minded, this video is absolutely for you. Okay, so I'm a dual citizenship attorney. As part of my practice, I help Americans pursue second citizenship. And I had a consult with a guy this week that had a California conviction, and he wanted to go over a number of issues or concerns that he had about his ability, his mobility, his ability to travel outside the United States. These are the 4 things that I told him he should do. And these are really the 4 things that are what I call the 90% solution, which means 90% of people in this scenario, California conviction, mobility minded, are gonna benefit from doing these 4 things. And that's what inspired me to do this video. Okay, so let's get right into it. So the first thing is, if you have a California conviction, you wanna make sure that you get screened for post-conviction relief. Post-conviction relief means expungements, vacaturs, juvenile record sealings, arrest record relief. Any of that type of stuff falls under the broad umbrella of what's called post-conviction relief. You want to get screened for post-conviction relief to see if you qualify for any of them based off of your case. And some people are going to qualify actually for more than one type of post-conviction relief based off of their case. Figure out through consultation with a lawyer which one is going to benefit you the most and go forward with it. Proceed to request that post-conviction relief. Okay, so that's step number 1. Now, step number 2 is to order and check your FBI background check. Okay, by FBI background check, what I mean is your FBI identity history summary. And this is where it gets really important and gets into territory that the vast majority of people don't know about. Okay, when you're an American and you apply for citizenship in a foreign country, residency in a foreign country, sometimes even a visa in a foreign country, sometimes some other countries request an FBI background check. They request a background check from Americans. That's the FBI identity history summary. Those foreign countries, in determining whether to approve or deny you for that citizenship or residency application, are going to look at what shows up in the FBI background check. So this is a critical document for mobility-minded Americans. The thing is, when people get a conviction in California or even other states, oftentimes it's very frequent that the FBI background check does not properly reflect the information of the person's conviction. And sometimes the information that shows in the FBI background check is terrible, is much worse. Just as an example, I had one client last year who was convicted of disorderly conduct, effectively disorderly conduct, 647 in California. And he didn't check his FBI background check. The conviction was 20 plus years ago. Fast forward, he wants to apply for residency in a European country. He gets his FBI background check, sees it for the first time 20 years after the conviction. And the FBI background check reflected a conviction that had to do with abuse of a minor, right? And that's not what he was convicted of. There was no minors involved in his case whatsoever. Okay, that's an issue. Okay, so that's a very common scenario that the FBI background check doesn't properly reflect what's on the actual conviction record. And that can be a big problem, especially when the FBI background check either doesn't show that there's post-conviction relief, that for example the case was expunged, or B, sometimes shows information related to a charge that was dropped or a conviction that's much worse than what the person was actually convicted of. So step number 2 has got to be to get your FBI background check. That's the identity history summary. Review it. If you don't know how to read it, you can book a consult with us. We can read it together in the consult. That's 95% of the time we're able to determine everything we need to know about the FBI background check just in the consult. And then the other thing is, if there's a mistake, which unfortunately a lot of them have, as I mentioned, go through the process of challenging that FBI background check. And that's a whole nother process. I have other videos on that, right? Challenging the FBI background check to update it to the most advantageous way possible, basically to make it so that it looks as rehabilitated as possible for the person. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is similar, okay, but separate, okay? And that is to request and review your California DOJ background check, okay? So For California convictions show up on a person's California DOJ background check, okay? And this is the background check that's not as often requested by foreign countries if you're applying for second citizenship or residency. But for processes inside California, okay, oftentimes the Cal DOJ background check is what's requested. For example, if you apply for certain types of professional licensing in California, okay, they request the the Cal DOJ background check. If you apply for certain types of sensitive employment in California, they check your Cal DOJ background check. If you make a firearms purchase, an ammo purchase in California, they check your California DOJ background check. So although this doesn't really affect a person's mobility as much, and there are instances where it can actually affect the mobility, even the Cal DOJ background check. I'll go over that in a minute. It's still something that you want to do. You want to get your Cal DOJ background check and make sure that it's accurate, okay? I'm a citizenship and mobility lawyer, so those types of aspects that I spoke about, you know, professional licensing, all that, that's not exactly in my wheelhouse, but it's something that I've gotten to learn about a little bit because as part of the process of what I do for my clients, okay, which is challenging their FBI background check and their California background check, right? Along the way, we challenge the Cal DOJ background check when we're challenging an FBI background check based off of a California conviction. So kind of by accident, I've gotten to learn a little bit about this adjacent, you know, area. But the bottom line is, if you're sitting there with a California conviction, whether it's 5 years in the past or 20 years in the past, you want to be in the best position possible for your future because you don't know what's going to happen 5, 10, 15 years down the line. You might apply for a job or a professional license you didn't anticipate. You want your California DOJ background check to be as updated as possible, okay, and to be as good as possible, which means typically to show the post-conviction relief that you got if you did end up getting a post-conviction relief, you know, most common one being, of course, an expungement, a PC 1203.4 dismissal, right? So convictions such as DUI, these are ones that I see often. DUIs, petty theft, PC 488, disorderly conduct, PC 647. Very, very common convictions in California. In fact, I think the DUI is the most common misdemeanor conviction in California. Very, very common convictions in California. In the vast majority of the times, they can be expunged. But the thing is, the expungement is oftentimes not the end of the work that you have to do. And unfortunately, this is something, updating the FBI background check is something that a lot of California criminal defense lawyers are not really that familiar with. It's a little bit outside of their wheelhouse because the vast majority of people that are just, going through the criminal justice system in California don't necessarily need their FBI background check for anything right away. If it shows up, sometimes it's years down the line because, again, they're applying for that foreign citizenship or residency, right? So step number 3 is going to be to request your Cal DOJ background check. You have to request the version that's for record review, okay, which is only for your eyes. California has strict laws about who can receive a California DOJ background check for record review. It's basically just you and your lawyer can do it. You're not supposed to give that document out. Review that background check, see if it reflects what it should reflect, okay, which is a completed case with the proper conviction and then with the post-conviction relief if you got it, okay? And if not, go through a process to challenge that Cal DOJ background check. Again, that's part of what we do at Malakouti Law on the way to helping people with updating their FBI background check, which is what we primarily deal with, being mobility, immigration, citizenship law firm, right? So that's number 3. And one other point about step 3, I said that most of the time Americans applying for a second citizenship or residency are not tasked with giving the state level background check. That's true. Vast majority of the time it's the FBI identity history summary. But there's some instances in some countries where if you're applying for a certain type of mobility asset, okay, they may either as a substitute for the FBI background check allow you to submit a state level background check, or sometimes they want both, okay? So a good example would be a Canadian rehabilitation. So if you're an American citizen with a conviction in the United States, you want to visit Canada, if you're inadmissible, oftentimes the remedy that's available to you is what's called a Canadian rehabilitation. And in their document list, they want both the FBI identity history summary as well as state level background checks for every state in the United States that you lived in after the age of 18 for at least 6 months, okay? Now, that's not the California record review Cal DOJ background check. You have to get a separate background check from California, right? Which is highly related. It's highly mirrors what's on your record review background check, okay? But it's slightly different one. And I have content on that as well too, okay? So bottom line is these background checks matter, okay? The state level background check for Cal DOJ and especially the FBI identity history summary, okay? That's item number 3. The fourth thing you're gonna wanna do, okay, is to get a certified copy of your minutes of hearing, okay, from your case, as well as a certified copy of your order of dismissal if the post-conviction relief that you got resulted in dismissal. Most common one being, of course, the expungement, a PC 1203.4 dismissal. So you want to get these 2 documents, okay, from the clerk, certified copies, okay? Certified means it usually has like a little stamp, right? And it's, says something like certified, okay? And that's not the end of it. You want to take those documents either in person or mail them in to the California Secretary of State to get them authenticated, okay? What I'm talking about is an apostille, okay, or a non-apostille legalization. Now, if you're American and you haven't had that much experience outside the United States, you may have never heard of what an apostille is. You may not even know what this is. It's a higher level of authentication of an official document. And again, going back to that scenario, okay, fast forward 6 months from now, a year from now, 20 years from now, you're applying for citizenship, residency, or even a visa in a foreign country. If you're requested more documents about a conviction, okay, beyond your FBI background check. So if that foreign country, as part of their application process, says, we don't just want your FBI background check, we also want court documents. Usually what they're gonna request is the minutes of hearing, okay, or the order of dismissal, okay? And in order for them to be able to receive that and to consider it, usually they want it authenticated, okay? Which means apostilled, if it's a country that's in the apostille convention, okay? That's most of Latin America, that's most of Europe, that's a lot of other countries, about 140 other countries. If it's one of those countries in the apostille convention, then they're gonna want an apostilled, okay, certified document. And if it's a country that's outside of, that's not in the Hague Convention on Apostilles, they're going to want what's called a legalized document. In California, luckily, okay, the California Secretary of State, okay, the sheet that they give to authenticate a document both for an apostille foreign country, an apostille convention country, as well as a non-apostille country is the same, okay, which means basically that if you take that document, the minutes of hearing, or the order of dismissal, and you send it to the California Secretary of State asking for authentication, it doesn't matter whether you're gonna need it for an apostille foreign country or non-apostille country, you're gonna get the same sheet on top. That's great for you, okay? What does that mean? That means you can take that step now, even not knowing what country you're gonna need this document for in the future, okay? The apostille or the non-apostille legalization never expires. The underlying certified document never expires. So this is a multi-step process, okay, to get those critical documents that you can do now, okay, and just scan it, stick the original in your files, and just rest easy knowing that you have that and that's not going to present a really, really bad bottleneck when you're applying for a citizenship or a residency in a foreign country in a hurry, okay? Those processes can take way more time than people think that they can, okay? So these are the 4 things. These are what I consider must-dos if you have a California conviction, regardless of what happened to the conviction, even if it was expunged after the fact, even if the record was sealed, whatever, okay? These are the 4 things that you should do if you're an American with a California conviction and you have any designs or dreams or daydreams or fantasies, okay, about living abroad or having residency in a foreign country. Number 1, get screened for post-conviction relief and get post-conviction relief if you qualify for it. Number 2, order your FBI identity history summary, review it, make sure that it's accurate. If it's not accurate, challenge it. Number 3, order your California DOJ background check, review it, make sure it's accurate. If it's not accurate, challenge it. And number 4, get you a certified copy of your minutes of hearing and order of dismissal if you have one, okay, and get them authenticated with the California Secretary of State, okay? So that's it. This is a quick video, okay? I'm actually in the process of writing a 2,000-word article. It's gonna be replete with links. I'm gonna try to make it as self-explanatory as possible, okay? Some of those items that I mentioned are more, susceptible, more able, for people to DIY on themselves, okay, or by themselves. So in some cases, some of those 4 items can kind of, be done by people on their own, DIY. Some of them kind of really require more of a lawyer, okay, to get involved, right? And then some of them, for sure, you got to have a lawyer involved, depending on the circumstances. So in the article, I'll go into a little bit more depth, okay, about my opinion about what people can safely and successfully do on their own, and what things people should definitely either at least consult a lawyer with or hire a lawyer, okay, to do. Like myself, okay, we do this. Malakouti Law, we're a dual citizenship attorney. We help Americans pursue second citizenship and some residencies. If you're in this situation, you want to talk about your situation, if you want me to screen you, okay, to give you my opinion on what you should do, what you can do, go ahead and book a consultation with me using the link below, Malakouti Law, okay? Otherwise, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you like this content on freedom of movement, especially for Americans. Have a great one.